The Wu-Tang Clan movement, what do you think are the biggest factors to the success that you've had over the last 25 years?
They say that the truth has a magnetic attraction. You know what I mean? And we bring the truth, through our music, you know, and we put it in certain ways, of course, right? We give you parables, metaphors, and things of that nature, but that truth has a magnetic attraction. And then also, the individuals, you're looking at a group of men that within this crew, you're going to find somebody that you can relate to, right? And therefore, there's an attraction to that because there's a familiarity, you know what I mean? And then the third thing I would say is, the music and the lyrics are unique. You know, it's hip hop. You know what I mean? But if I'll bet you 50 years from now, they'll be able to call our music another genre of hip hop. Like it's hip hop.
Right.
It's like you got rock and classic rock.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Alternative rock. Whatever.
Right.
I mean, you can subgenre, the Wu-Tang hip hop. You know what I mean?
At what point during the movement did you know we have something really special here?
Day one. My brother Justice, the Jizza, he invited me. This was before I even thought about becoming an MC. He invited me to a studio session one night, and that particular night, long story short, brothers were recording Protect Your Neck. I didn't go to the studio that night. When he came back the next day for our social gathering, and he had the tape, and he let me hear what brothers was working on. For me, loving and being a fan of hip hop, when I first heard, and it wasn't even completed, when I first heard that, I knew it was like nothing else in the world that I had ever heard before. So just for me alone, I know it was definitely unique, and it was gonna be an explosion. You know what I'm saying? And from that day, we continued to build and so on and so forth. But for me, I just knew, definitely, day one.
A question about hip hop culture. You guys have been in the game for 25 years, so you were around when Tupac was killed, when Biggie was killed, when Nipsey was killed. What do we need to do as a community to stop that from happening?
I mean, not just in hip hop culture, but in the black community, we gotta value each other's lives, man. If a soldier is captured in the country, like Iraq, they gonna shoot a missile. Cause that soldier is that valuable to the country. We gotta value each other's lives, man. Especially us in America. Now, look, every black man in the world, we should value each other's lives. But in America, you're talking about a mere 20 million people of our intellect, culture, speaking, build, diet, small. You take 20 million and divide that into 8 billion. It's a small fraction of us, that could talk and do what we do. So one of our lives is precious. Now you put that to the hip hop world, now you're talking about 1,000 people only. You're gonna kill, if you had $1,000 only to your name, you not wanna lose none of that.
Right.
We gotta value our lives, man.
Valuing life is first understanding, the value of life, period. You know what I'm saying? Now, to value self, to understand who self is. You know what I'm saying? And, we always go back to it, but there's really no eluding it. Knowledge of self is a very important part of life, period. There's no getting around it. Yeah.
RZA, you had a charge where you could have went to jail for 8 years, which could have, obviously stopped this whole movement. Was that the closest that you came to not being a part of this movement? any other brushes with the law where you're like, you know, you talk about zigzag zig. How many situations were you in where you had to zig out of it?
So that was my final situation right there. You know, like every, not like every, but like many young black men in the what we call the ghetto. You know, I was a street entrepreneur selling pharmaceuticals. You know what I mean? I was also, you know, drinking and smoking and stealing and doing things that you're young and foolish. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But that particular moment where my life could have been stuck inside a 6x4 cell, and I had a child inside of a woman's stomach, mm-hmm. meaning I was going to add on to this same cycle of what our community do to ourselves, and yet I had knowledge of self. Like the man said, I knew my lessons. There was no reason for me to be a fool or act like a fool. And so when I was able to overcome that situation, I went positive, bro. And I could tell any brother out there, whoever hear your words or read your article or whatever, is that positive multiplies. The weight in every atom, the proton is heavier than the electron. Way heavier. 10, 20, maybe 1,000 times heavier. But it's, and in the Bible it tells you for every negative action, there's a negative thing in return. But for every positive action, I can multiply you by 10. So I went positive. And you know, Raekwon said in the song Cream, every week we made 40 G's. That's causing violence, that's drugs, that's hurting the community, that's watching out for the police, that's all this danger for that mere 40 G's. But now we're doing positivity, and in one night, we 5 times that.
I wrote a piece.
Big difference.
I wrote a piece earlier today called 10 Wu-Tang Clan Joints That Changed Hip Hop. For each of you, what's 3 songs that have to be on that list?
Protect Your Neck has to be on that list. Cream has to be on that list. And then I'm going to jump up into Triumph has to be on that list.
Man, I can agree because we got a million songs.
Anything?
How you feel?
Well, I had to put your dad's Brooklyn Zoo on there. I think that had to be on the list.
Well, thank you. You said it for yourself.
That's a cool list, yo. I'm interested in seeing it one day.
Are you on Twitter or social media?
I mean, I'm sure it'll pop up. I'm gonna read it when it pops up.
Yeah. I had a conversation with some friends about it, but those 3 definitely up there. Brooklyn Zoo. Yeah. My favorite karaoke song because the energy on that record is just crazy.
Now, actually, they got Brooklyn Zoo karaoke's now?
No. You gotta.
That's actually a good idea. The karaoke Wu song. Yeah. That'd be a sweaty karaoke room, though, right?
Yeah, it'll help them.
That
would be a lot of fun.
It'll help their breathing and everything. You go out of there. I acknowledge yourself.
That would be. Yeah, I'm gonna put some energy towards that.
As at least, I'm not going to say you're the leader of the Wu-Tang Clan, but at least the people that people perceive to be the leader of the Wu-Tang Clan. What was it like keeping all of the egos in check of your brothers, your talented brothers who all have individual egos?
Let me say this first. Wu-Tang, we grew up knowing that there should never be a leader. There should always be leadership. And every man should be a leader within himself. And therefore leadership is never broken. And so far as keeping an ego in check, it's like, everybody has to keep their own ego in check. You know what I mean? The only thing I could do is keep mine in check and be who I am at all times. And as long as I'm going to be that, my relationship to the next man is going to be the same. But if I lose control of myself and he lost control of himself, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? So I strive at my best to remain who I am. You know what I mean? And hopefully that, that resonates with my brothers when it comes to dealing with ciphers that, that I have the voice on.
Final question: what advice would you give to yourself 25 years ago if you had the ability to do so?
Man. That's like that's hindsight, 2020 vision, right? But I wouldn't really change too much. You know what I'm saying? Because even with the lesson that's learned, it's a blessing in it. You know what I mean? And it was an experience that had to happen. Whenever good, bad, ugly, positive, negative, it has us here today. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of tough to say because even in your errors you learn. You know what I'm saying? So to say I would go back and change something is kind of difficult. I don't know how you feel about it.
I would give myself the advice that this is a Drake song that I find myself playing a lot over and over and over, right? It says, keep your family close. I think we travel the world a lot, you know what I mean? We make a lot of money doing it and all that. And sometimes, as we got older, we started bringing our family. Some brothers bring their family with them and all that. I would have probably told myself, keep your family closer because your son's going to be a certain age. I remember the Temptations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They came home and it's like,
Yeah.
his son didn't want to play basketball no more with him. It's like, I'm not looking forward to playing ball with you no more. You know what I mean? So that part, that equation is something that I would give myself advice with. Even, as we talk about Dr. King, he actually said something like that in the new documentary they got on him. He was like, this struggle that he has to do,
right.
The greatest conflict of it is that he's not home with his family. He's missing that. So there's a way, and there's a way. Like if artists, if an artist has a family and it's economics, if he incorporates that in his mind, he could move with his family. But sometimes it's more like, see you when I get back, baby.
But then at the same time, like I was saying, that could be looked at as an error. But some of the sacrifices we had to make at a certain point in our lives, we didn't even have to bring out.
Yeah, so I mean,
You know
we didn't have the economics to do it. And at the same time, we was also in places that you didn't want your family. We was when we was doing hip hop, bro. We left clubs after gunfire.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
All right.
Anyway.
I'm sorry, we got to wrap, so we're going to take you into the other room.